Good afternoon, everybody. This is a Marvelous back again. Give you another video. Hope you all enjoy it. This particular video is going to be about Trump and the speech, the rally that he just held this past Tuesday. Trump seems to have everybody in anxiety. People are actually going to their psychiatrists and psychologists more now that Trump is president, especially after this whole artificial white nationalist movement that's going on right now. So this speech pretty much has everyone up in arms. Excuse me. But what made me want to do this video was I was watching a movie, and I'm gonna cover that movie as well and relate it to everything. And there was a particular scene that that stood out. So that's why I wanted to cover this speech, because I think it's very crucial to see why he chose Phoenix and how important Phoenix is going to be, Arizona especially, during Trump's whole presidency. I think it's going to be more important than we realize. So that's why I wanted to make this video. Now, on the surface, Trump obviously most likely went to Phoenix, Arizona to have this rally, because obviously you got the dude Joe, a rapper, that whole incident, John McCain. There's a lot of history with Trump in Phoenix. I won't go into too much detail on those aspects, but on the surface, immigration and a particular image of his supporters are reflected in Arizona with all the news that's going on. So on the surface, immigration being one of his main things that he's focusing on, I don't think there's a better place to kind of hold a rally like the one he did Tuesday other than Arizona. But that's the surface, the base level reasonings. Not to mention his first major speech before he became president on his campaign run was in Phoenix. He said so himself. That was the one that he made the most initial progress and had the best results, was in Phoenix. But the movie that I was watching that kind of prompted me to do this video was a movie by J.K. Rowling. She wrote it, the same chick that wrote the Harry Potter books. It's a movie called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Now, there's a particular scene in that movie that just jumped out at me. So it caused me to kind of look back and say, well, damn, what's going on with Phoenix? So before I get to the movie, I want to give some backdrop as to what exactly so significant about Phoenix itself, even without Trump, and even where it got its name. Phoenix was given its name by a gentleman named Lord Dupa, or Duppa. I'm not sure the correct pronunciation, but basically this gentleman, they were trying to come up with names as to why they should name this particular area in Arizona what it should be named, you know. And one of the gentlemen, this gentleman, Lord Dupa, suggested Phoenix, because Phoenix, the symbolism of a phoenix is the rise to the ashes, above all adversity, and pretty much emerge victorious. So it represents rebirth. And also, he realized that that particular location in Phoenix, in Arizona at the time, it was also a place where it was a great Native American civilization in America from like early millennia, Common Era, like 300 to like maybe the 15th century. They inhabited that region that we know as Arizona. So that was a ancient Native American civilization, great civilization that inhabited North America in that region of Arizona, primarily where we call Phoenix. And the name of that group was called the Hohokam, the Hohokam group. And the Hohokam group in North America, they were the only culture to rely on irrigation canals to water their crops since as early as 800. And their irrigation system supported the largest population in the Southwest by 1300. So I'm just setting the backdrop as to why why Phoenix, Arizona is so crucial, and especially is going to be very important as long as Trump is president. So that area, really the Southwest and that region had many civilizations in North America, but I'm not going to cover that in this video. But primarily the Hohokam were centralized in this region of Arizona that we know as Phoenix, and also other parts of Arizona. So the individual chose Phoenix as the name of that region because he knew that this great civilization existed there. And he said that one day a new civilization, great civilization, will emerge to be even greater than this one. So that is why he chose Phoenix to be the name of that location in Arizona at that time, because he knew there was a great civilization that existed there, the Hohokam, and he knew that in the future, America would have another great civilization that would emerge, and that would be the seat of where that's at. So that's the basic historical backdrop into where the name Phoenix came from and what Phoenix represent without Trump. So now, this movie, Fantastic Beasts, there's a scene in which you got to remember too that Hollywood represents the unconscious and the minds of the masses during the period in which that movie comes out. Period. And it's also a glimpse of a whole nother world, spiritual world, that we're not physically or conscious of because our senses can't really grasp it, but it's still present. So it's a medium that bridges the two. And the individuals that are responsible for these movies tap into that in many different ways. But anyway, so I'm watching this particular scene, and the scene, little backdrop to the movie. So basically there was this big, dangerous, toxic energy that was being unleashed on New York City from this magician that was inside him. So because he was upset and couldn't hold it no more, this toxic energy was released all over all New York, and it was wreaking havoc. And as it was wreaking havoc, you had the magicians trying to stop it, the good ones, and you had the bad ones trying to keep it going. All in the backdrop, you have the people that don't do magic in New York, in the movie. They have no clue of what's going on, because the laws in this movie had it to where if you practice magic, then you had to keep it under wraps, under some kind of legal box. So therefore, it couldn't harm the people that didn't practice magic. And I'm going to tie all of this in. So anyway, this big energy, negative energy, is wreaking havoc across all of New York. So one of the magicians, after they stop it and they bring it to a halt, the president, who's a black woman, the president of the Congress that manages the magicians in New York, she's a black woman. That's also significant. She says now that this toxic thing has been contained, it's corrupted everybody in New York because they now know the true workings of what's going on with magicians that's coexisting with them. We can't allow that to happen. We have to wipe their memory. But there's no way they can wipe the memory of the entire population in New York. They could only do it one at a time. So the magician says, well, maybe there is a way that we can do it. So he props open this briefcase, and out of the briefcase comes a phoenix. So he says to the phoenix, and this is what caught my attention, he says, Phoenix is named Frank, he says, I didn't think I would have to use you until I got to Arizona. So I was like, that's strange. It was random. What's the significance of this phoenix being used in Arizona? So anyway, the phoenix comes out. He says that this magician gives the phoenix a little liquid, and the phoenix goes up into the sky, into the clouds, and it starts raining. And the rain wipes the memory away from all of the people that witnessed this event. And as it does this, you get to see the newspapers change from the news of chaotic magicians destroying New York to the worst rainstorm in the history of New York. So what does all that mean? So when I seen that, I said, well, damn, let me follow where this is going. What is the significance of this phoenix being linked in this movie to Arizona? So that's what led me to see the history of Arizona and the history of Phoenix. The reason why, in the short answer, Phoenix is going to be and is significant, and why Trump held this rally in Phoenix, is because Phoenix is the new seat of power that Trump has chosen in order to implement his policies. Trump is attempting, on the surface, to overthrow or bring in a new kind of America that's different than the one that we live in. In order for him to do that, he has to fight certain forces that want America to be a certain way. He's trying to counter that on the surface. In order for him to do that, he has to separate himself while operating within the current system, but he has to also separate and remain autonomous. And in order for him to do that, he has to communicate effectively with his supporters. And that is why individuals that don't support Trump don't really understand his movements, because they're not looking at the significance of what he's doing, why he's saying what he's saying, and why he has to do that. So a lot of people automatically dismiss it as him being racially insensitive, which he could be, but in order for him to implement his version of what America should be, he has to do it in a way that's autonomous, but since he's president, he's still working within. And that is why one of the main slogans at that rally on Tuesday was what? Drain the swamp. Where's the swamp? The swamp is Washington, D.C. That's the place where he's president, but that's the place where he has his biggest battles, because he's been struck down with Obamacare in terms of repealing it. John McCain was the one vote that he was talking about that didn't allow it to happen. That's why during the rally he mentioned John McCain a lot and bashed him. All of this happened in D.C. His immigration policies is facing resistance, not just in the masses, but the deciding factor is what? The government, Congress, they're also blocking Trump. So, in order for Trump to be effective, he has to do a few things. He has to constantly communicate the language to his supporters, and his supporters primarily. Everyone else is secondary after his supporters, because his supporters have certain wants and they fit his vision, so they're going to always be connected. If you're not a Trump supporter, you're going to always be on the outside and not look at the symbolism and what's really going on. That's one. Second, in order for him to operate from a power base and gain momentum, he has to separate himself from the old world power, which is Washington, D.C., which is the seat of American power, is D.C. The financial seat is New York. In order for him to reign properly, he has to have another capital of power in this country that he runs. That's Phoenix. The history of America, and I suggest you get a book called America's Secret Establishment, or America's Secret Destiny, America's Secret Destiny. You'll see that America operates in twos, duality, period. It's very Geminian in its internal workings and its external appearance. Operates in twos. It's the only currency, the American dollar, with two seals. Anyway, so now Trump is looking to establish another capital in America, and that's Phoenix. So you're going to have two capitals that run this country. One is going to be D.C., and the other one, which Trump is trying to establish as his seat of power, is Phoenix, Arizona. Period. So you're going to see a lot of symbolism, a lot of news, a lot of significance in Phoenix. And Phoenix is going to be the place where he draws his energy from. And from his own words, he has already said that was the first place in his campaign that he had the biggest success in, and that was Phoenix, Arizona. So in watching this movie, I was like, oh damn, it made sense. This Phoenix is responsible for wiping the memory in the movie of all the people that witnessed this horrific events. After the memory was wiped, they had no knowledge of what happened, everything went back to normal. That's what Trump signifies. Trump signifies Phoenix, right? He signifies wiping America's mind from the lies on the surface, because he still could be a double agent, because all these presidents are related. But on the surface, Trump is attempting to wipe the memory of the filth and present a cleaner America. In order to do that, he has to what? He has to drain the swamp. And that's what he's doing. But he can't drain the swamp relying on the power base of D.C. He has to set up his own seat of power. And that's what he's attempting to do. And as he does that, he's going to always have a base that he can operate from that is going to be at par, if he gets his way, to the cesspool or swamp that he labels as D.C. and everyone that subscribes to its beliefs. Also in the movie, it's important because the changing of the newspapers also represents fake news, which is a big thing that Trump has been fighting, has been fake news. So when this rain came down, it not only wiped people's memories, but it also changed the media. In the beginning of the movie, you'll see nothing but headlines about magicians and how bad they are and all of the activity, right? That's the negative propaganda. That's what Trump has been fighting. So when this Phoenix comes up, all of this stuff comes out and everything is changed, and all the chaos, people emerge from it in a happy state, which is what the Phoenix represents. Scorpio stuff, because Scorpio is the highest sign, is the sign with the most symbols. Scorpio is the highest of those signs that Scorpio has to attain to. That's significant because elections are held during Scorpio. Trump was nominated on November 8th. The movie Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was released 2 days after the election, November 10th. So that movie is a very political, Trump-esque vision of what's going on now. So that rally had to be held in Phoenix because it was once a great civilization with the Hohokam, and now Trump, making America great again, is looking to make it another great civilization how it should be. So that is why Trump, in my opinion, has chosen Phoenix, because that is his major momentum base, and that is where he could do the most effective work with his supporters, with his vision, and where he wants to go. So I suggest watch the movie. I know it's like it could be dismissed, fucking Harry Potter and things like that, but I wouldn't do that. But if you don't want to watch the movie, I would subscribe to the channel called Screen Prisms, I believe. They do a lot of breakdowns on different movies. They didn't cover the Phoenix and Trump or nothing like that, but if you want to get a concise context of what the movie's about, I suggest that you watch that and get an overall view of the movie, and it'll save you time from watching it. So in summary, why Phoenix? Why did Trump have this speech in Phoenix? Because Phoenix, Arizona will be Trump's capital. It will be his base of power, and it will be the place that he's going to try to establish as the new capital of America, to rival DC, and that's where he's going to constantly go back to drain the swamp, combat DC, and draw power from in his momentum. It has historical context of a great civilization. Its meaning in itself was named after a phoenix because of this great civilization that fell, because Hohokam was the name given to those people, were the ones who have gone. And there's a lot of, in the news, a lot of situations with immigration, and his policies with that is based and surrounded in Phoenix. So you're going to see a lot of that. And this rally showed that. And that is why, in his tone, it appeared that he was still catering to white nationalists and, white people in his supporter base, because it's true. That's the base that's giving him the fuel to make this country, in his words, great again. So most people will get blinded by that, but they don't understand what's going on. Trump has a vision for America, and his vision includes speaking the language of his supporters, who just so happen to fit a certain context and narrative. And as long as he's president, Phoenix is his base. He's going to communicate to his supporters like that. That's not going to change. So look to Phoenix in the media. Watch what I'm saying. You're going to see Trump more in Arizona, and a lot of Arizona references. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me feedback. If you notice anything in regards to what I'm saying, Phoenix, Trump, please send it. And, for those that subscribed, I appreciate it. Those that give comments, positive and negative, I welcome it. And thank you for your time. Talk to you soon. Peace. Oh, real quick, almost forgot. For some references into, movies, because that is the key to, some kind of getting out of this. Esoteric Hollywood, Sex Cults, and Symbols in Film by Jay Dyer. I suggest you get that. I always refer to this, Sign of the Times, right? These books give good historical context into movies over different time frames and how it reflects our psychology at that period. This one, if you want to understand the symbolism of presidents and what they reflect with the currency, there's a few chapters in here that covers that. This is Petrus Romanus by Thomas Horn and Chris Putnam. And again, America's Secret Destiny. So once again, with that, peace. Thank you for your attention, and I will see you on the next video.